Yeah, I like the tunes. I'm joined here with my service dog, Red. He's a good service dog. He's an actual service dog. He detects my diabetes. When my blood sugars go high or low, he will alert me. Poor old Red had a stroke here about a year ago, and he's starting to lose his sight. So I don't know how much longer he's going to last as a service dog. But he sure has been a good one, and I'm sure he'll continue to be a good one. After all, he doesn't need sight to smell my breath. Today, we're going to unbox and set up the 12-inch precision saw. This is the Highland Park saw designed specifically for cutting agates. It's a very accurate saw. It's got a very good drive motor on it. It's very consistent. You don't get the choppy lines that you do with some of the lower tones and some of those saws. This is a much better saw. So let's dive in and get started. And once again, I want to say thanks for joining me. Please like and subscribe to my channel and share this with your friends if you enjoy it. It might help them get their saw set up. Okay, let's unbox this thing. I've already got the clips off the top, so I'll lift the top out of place here. The next thing you want to do is down on the bottom are some lag screws. You want to unscrew those. I like to do it before I get the clips off because I think it holds the side a little bit. I don't take them all the way out. There's a good 3/4 inch of plywood there that they can stay stuck in. I'm going to take them out a little far. This is a 10 millimeter, so you'll need a 10 millimeter socket or nut driver or something. Okay, once you have those backed off, you'll notice there's these clips on here. These are specially made. John Rowland designed them to hold these crates together. And they're designed in a way that there's a solid end, or the end where they bent, and then there's an open end that'll have two little legs on it. You want to work off of that solid end. Simply drive a handy dandy clamp removal tool, big flat blade, down in there and give it a little pry, and those clamps will pop right off. The best feature of these clamps is the way they're designed and the way the crates are designed. Once you get the equipment out, you can put the crate back together and store rocks in it outside of the shop. It's kind of a nice way to keep things organized. My wife, or my owner, had one that she wanted to look a little nicer and put in the yard. So she painted it and decorated it with flowers and bees and all kinds of stuff. And made it look like a piece of yard art. And that's what she keeps some of her petrified wood in while she's waiting on me to build the gardens that they go in. She has this thing, it's called a honeydew list. What I call it is a honey get it done or you're dead list. Okay, so I'll set that panel aside, and you'll notice it's got all kinds of foam cushioning on it. They pack these things so well because they expect for the shippers to do a really crappy job. Okay, so by overpacking, basically, no matter what the shippers do with the crate, the product inside will still be in good shape. So we'll lift this off. Being a 12-inch saw, it's kind of a light saw, so it's easy to move around. Set that aside, and then we'll go ahead and walk our saw out of here. Okay, now that we got the saw out of the crate, it's simply a matter of taking plastic off. They do a bang up job packing these to be shipped. I mean, nothing comes damaged. They are really, really great at their packaging. Some of their shipping is a little slow, but you'll always get it. There is a small parts package in here. It's saran wrap over some foam, and the parts you need are inside the foam. This is the drain plug. So, when we open the saw, first thing we notice is that it has a latch on there that you hold down to keep the door open. Okay, I'm going to close it real quick here. And we're going to get it out of this bottom piece of foam here. And let's start from the bottom up. Okay. Look at there. Not too bad. Okay. Down on the bottom, you've got these little rubber leveling feet. Okay. Those leveling feet are kind of nice because if your shop floor is like mine and the people did a really bad job of pouring the concrete, it'll be unlevel. So you'll need a way to level it. Okay. The next thing we need to look for on the bottom is the drain plug. It's this little pipe right there. I would take that and wrap that with Teflon tape, screw it on real tight. I'm just going to put it on there finger tight for right now. Okay. Now, on these smaller saws, you cannot put the Everclean system. But if you have the standalone Everclean, and you can look at my video for that, you can drain the oil into that standalone and clean it and put it right back in the saw. Okay. On the outside, you have the cord hanging down. They are simply a 110 plug. I would, since we're working in a wet environment with rocks, you're always around oil, water, whatever, it gets spilled on the floor. If you're touching this machine and step in that puddle, you become a conductor to ground and can get shocked. So to prevent that, I plug all mine into a ground fault circuit interrupter. You can do it at the breaker box, or you can do it individually at the outlet itself. And what happens is, if you're touching this and you're standing in the puddle, that circuit interrupter detects that and it shuts off the power immediately so that you don't get shocked. It's not required. It's a little more expense. I don't mind the expense when it comes down to my safety. So on the other side is the belt guard. They have those all adjusted. The belts don't need to be adjusted, but maybe once a year. If it starts squealing or stalling out while it's cutting, adjust the belt. Okay, so there's a push button here and a switch here. This switch is your safety shut off, so that when you're done cutting your rock, it shuts the saw off. Okay, this button activates a contactor that turns on the motor. That's a much better way to do it, because a switch like this with a 20 amp inrush from a big 1 horsepower motor will burn that switch up eventually. Using contactors, you don't burn that up, because you're low voltage to the start side, high voltage to the motor side. So you'll need to make sure the switch here is pulled back. Then you push that button and the saw will start. So when we go to the inside, we got our latch and a little bolt that sticks out that holds it up. Now you'll notice there's a chain in here. So looking on the inside, you'll notice there's this chain here hanging on this little metal hook. What this does is you set this so that when your saw travels to where the rock is cut. Okay, there's a rock in there. You want that chain to come up so that it will pull that switch and turn it off before you crash into the blade bushing and stuff. So there's a little lever here. This lever frees up the feed screw so the carriage can move back and forth. The carriage is all roller bearing on these square pipes. It does not move at all. That's what makes this such a precision saw. Okay, you flip this up, it will not move, but when you start the saw, the drive motor works the worm screw, which feeds your rock through your blade slowly. This handle here is turned to move your clamp back and forth, your vise back and forth on a carriage. This means that you can take a little thin cut at the end and it slabs all the way through that rock. Okay, this lever here is your vise. You open it up, you clamp it. You don't have to have it sitting on the bottom necessarily. It can be in the center of the clamp as long as it's tight and does not move. This lever will get that pretty tight. You should not need anything to force it, you know, a wrench on it or a piece of pipe or anything to try to get it tighter. If that's the case, you need to use little slits of wood or wedges or something to make more contact with your rock. Now you'll notice this comes with their thin line blade already installed. These blades are fantastic. They've got very little kerf. In other words, they don't take a lot of meat out of the middle of your rock while you're cutting, and they cut very smooth and very straight, meaning the polishing portion and grinding portion of finishing a good stone is much easier. This is truly a precision saw. They have a solid mass here of aluminum to hold the shaft for the motor. It does not move. Your motor will not walk up and down. Your shaft won't walk down. Your blade won't wobble. These are perfect. And if you want to see more about adjusting that, lining up the blade, if you ever think that needs to happen, John has some videos on the Highland Park Lapidary website that are really good at that. So when you fill this with oil, you don't need oil up to the bottom of the carriage. All you need is enough oil to cover where the diamonds are down in the bottom. So about 3/8 of an inch of oil on the blade is plenty of oil to sling oil through your rock and keep your cut clean. Okay, it'll keep your rock cool, and it'll help you dramatically when it comes to keeping it clean. If you put too much oil in here, oil's going to slosh out everywhere. You're going to have a mess. Now when they designed this, they put these little tabs in the corners with a hole in the back. What happens is the oil that runs down the hood when you open it will hit that and drain down the corner and not drip all over your floor. Okay, the oil you choose is crucial. If you use diesel fuel, these blades, as with any rock cutting blades, will create a spark, and you will start your shop on fire and burn it to the ground. Okay, if you try diesel fuel mixed with motor oil, number one, it's still flammable. It just burns hotter once it does burn. Number two, the viscosity of it is too thick to make good clean cuts. What John is selling is a very specially treated food grade mineral oil. It's very thin, it's got a very low viscosity, it keeps your rocks cooler, it keeps your cuts cleaner. Buy the oil from John. Get the Highland Park Lapidary oil all the time. Don't try to use tractor hydraulic fluid, don't try to use anything but the Highland Park oil in this. It only takes a couple gallons to have enough oil in this saw to cut rocks. It doesn't take a lot. If you buy a 5-gallon jug, it's going to last you a couple years if you regularly drain the oil and clean it and muck out your saw. Don't let your saw get overly dirty, because that breaks down the oil and you'll never get it clean. One thing to pay attention to when you're plugging in your saw, there's a cord that comes from the motor underneath the saw. That will plug into this outlet on the side of the box. This plug goes to your power, okay? Otherwise, you route around all of this safety switches here. So this is power underneath the box. This is to the motor underneath the saw. I hope this video was a help to you. Appreciate you watching. Please like and subscribe. Share your video. I appreciate all of you joining me on my channel. Thank you for your support.